Welcome to the Mental Health Matchmaker podcast. I'm your host, Jess, and today I'm having a really fun conversation about one of my favorite topics, which is romantic relationships. I'm chatting with Marian, a trained and licensed therapist, about attachment styles, how our family dynamics influence our relationships, and she speaks to her personal experience being the oldest child of first-generation immigrant parents. And so let's get into it. Okay, I want to get into, there's anxious attachment, secure attachment, which is the healthy one, which we were discussing, and avoidant attachment.
Yeah, so like the avoidant attachment style is really interesting because essentially like it sounds like they're being very like cold.
Yeah.
But they're actually just people that were like, hey, I had to figure it out on my own. Right? Like I didn't get that attachment style where someone carried like my emotions. I wasn't supported. I wasn't like connected with in my most vulnerable moments. I just had to do it. Right? I just had to do it myself.
Right.
So they get kind of a bit triggered by that. People like taking all that to them and they're like, just do it. Like just do what you got to do. Like why? Like maybe some space, shutting this emotion down will help you in a sense because that's what they learned. Right? So yeah, I think a lot of like what I've learned especially is like it's rewired my understanding of people because I'm like, I don't think people do what they think hurts others.
Right.
I think they do what they know.
Yeah.
And if what they know hurts others, oftentimes when you expose this to them, there's just a lot of confusion because they're like, but I thought this is just what it was. Like this is what I had to do, right? Like this is how I had to figure it out and I made it. So why can't you make it?
Right.
Like, yeah.
Oh, that's deep. Okay, so I've heard that like the anxious attachment can trigger the avoidant attachment and vice versa and kind of like heighten the experiences of both.
It's funny because we say like if you do enough research in this, like counselors know the anxious and avoidant always find each other.
Yeah.
And it's because they both give each other what the other wants, right? Like the anxious
Right.
person sees the avoidant person who can keep like fairly consistent in how they interact with them and they're like, oh, this person's consistent. And the avoidant person sees the anxious person who's like not overwhelming them and they're like, okay, then this person is safe. Like they can handle themselves. Like I don't have to be overwhelmed. I don't have to be like totally expected of in ways that I can't provide. So they typically find each other.
Wow.
And it's after they find each other that this then comes out. And they're like, well, we had it good. We want to make it work, but we don't know how to get past what we're seeing now.
Because for the anxious attachment, what are they more looking for in a romantic dynamic?
Yeah, the anxious attachment learned like inconsistency.
Okay.
Right? Like sometimes people there, sometimes people weren't. So it's like they never quite know when they're going to be met. And so there's always that kind of lingering like, do I have to perform to keep you?
Wow.
Like, do I have to prove to you that I'm worth staying for? So they're always kind of like looking for that validation. They're always like seeking. It's what it sounds like, anxious, right? Like they're like, is this real? Is this consistent? Am I okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Like, are we good? Like that's kind of what they're always seeking after. And also these things range in between, right? Like you can be an extreme avoidant or like somewhat avoidant, extremely anxious or somewhat anxious.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I remember working with my therapist on this a year or two ago and her telling me, she's like, well, you've grown and you have a secure attachment. And I'm like, okay, great. What did I have before? Because I was like, I don't know. And she's like, it was anxious. And so then when I reflected on my experience, I liked somebody when I was in one of my years in university. And I remember thinking, does he like me? Does he like me? Does he like me? And that was kind of this like sentence that was replaying over and over in my head for the first like 2 months. And so I'm like, wow, if I felt that way for such an extended period of time, that was clearly a very like anxious, like I want your validation. I don't know if you like me, but I'm gonna
wasn't
try.
that the drive?
Yeah.
The unknown. There's like that excitement of like, can I make it work?
Yes. And then we want to like feed into the chaos of that.
Yeah.
And
Because
then when
it,
you,
yeah.
Go ahead.
It's just I used to be the same where I was like, it's like it's someone in the distance where I'm like, oh, like it's an attainable thing. Like, do I prove like something to myself by like getting this to work in a way? Yeah, I know.
And then
We've all
once in a
been
while, you receive the like confirmation that they like you, and you're like, oh, I got it.
and it's like that dopamine hit. And you're like, it's happening.
exactly. And so, like, how do we Like, first of all, why is this a bad thing? Because we're talking about it like it's so exciting, because it is. But why is this actually probably not a great dynamic to continue to play out for your entire life?
Well, yeah, because think of it this way, like the way it starts is probably the way it's going to continue. So if you're looking for like someone who gives you like a sense of like validation when they just like reply back, or like, I don't know, if there's like a distance in time where you're like thinking about them and no interaction, and they like a post and you're like, so they noticed me, like, okay, like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of a sense of being addicted to like the process rather than the person. And sometimes I make people think like, okay, if you finally were in a relationship with that person, would it mean that much to you to just have them consistently around? Or are you just looking for that like sense of validation, right?
Right.
Sometimes also it's like the issue of like, the person is what validates us. Like they are like, let's say they have a good status, or they're like attractive, or this or that, in a way that being with them makes us feel better about ourselves. Not just like two people who can say like, hey, we're in this together kind of thing. And it's like safe and secure and all of that. Yeah.
Oh, that's so real. That's so real. And I appreciate you going into depth on that too. Because then there's this crazy difference when you do experience a secure attachment in your friendships and in your relationships. And then that's where I think you can really grow, and your relationship can get a lot more deep and a lot more connected, because you're not just trying to like reach that next dopamine hit or just be attached to the process. It's more like, oh, I like this person because they're a great person and we have this in common, or we have this shared values. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's it. Like the anxious like cycle kind of feels like a roller coaster, where like the highs are high, but the lows can be so low. And then having that secure attachment is like that sense of calm and that sense of safety.
Yeah.
And just like experiencing that myself, where I'm like, okay, like this person makes me feel better about myself in ways where I'm like, I don't have to prove it. It's just like, it's just that feeling of like, you know what, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like this is safe. I don't have to worry. Like I don't have to like work for it. Like we are just good together. Yeah.
I'm so curious if you've seen clients get to the point of that secure attachment, and then what? You know, like I'm like, do you do some real deep inner work then of looking at things from the past? Because when you're addicted to the cycle, you don't have the bandwidth in your mind to be able to go into the deeper stuff, right?
Yeah, I think that's like part of the process of even therapy is creating a secure attachment. Actually, like that's what people don't realize, and I'm like, I don't want to explain this too much in like a psychological terms kind of way, because people are like, okay, but I'm like, essentially what we're doing in therapy is creating a secure attachment, right? Because you have to be with another person in a safe, non-judgmental environment, like sorting through your stuff, to be able to create that sense of like, okay, this is what security means. I know what it's like to have somebody in my life where it's like they're not leaving, right? And we can work through this stuff. So yeah, I've seen people get there where they get into a secure mindset, and then it's like, it kind of, by the time you get there, they're like, okay, like to figure things out now. Like they're able to get that kind of autonomy, where they're like, you know what, we can touch base, and like I can let you know how things are going, but like I'm okay now. Like I feel good. I feel safe.
I've even been in the position actually where I think I've been able to form that secure attachment. A couple months go by and I went to my therapist and I was like, things don't seem like super, super great, but like things aren't bad. And so I don't know how I feel. And she's like, the roller coaster is no longer a roller coaster, right? And so there was this feeling of boredom of like, wait, like what's going on? And so that was so crazy. And that's been a huge chapter of my life now, is like navigating like calm is okay. Bored, quote unquote, is okay. Like that's a good thing.
Is it boredom or is it peace?
Oh, that's such a therapist quote to hit me with. I love it.
This funny thing is like way back when, I think it must have been like over 10 years ago. So I was talking to someone, I was like, man, like the idea of marriage and like relationships and whatnot. And I was like, how do you know? Like you're going into life with someone and you're like, I was like, how do I know like that this is it? And they're like, you'll have peace. And I was like, yeah, whatever that means. You'll have peace, sure. Because I'm like 23 or something, and I'm like, okay, like I don't know what that means at that time, right? And now like seeing it, I'm like, oh yeah, like it's not like life is perfect. It's not like you look at this person and you're like, wow, you're amazing. But that's actually it, right? Because you see them for who they are. And you're still like, they're broken, I'm broken, we're in this together. As long as we're in it, together, right? And I'm not on my own trying to chase this.
Yeah.
Then it's like, okay, things are okay. Like it's at peace.
Yeah.
Which sometimes translates to boredom. But like,
it's about getting comfortable with that boredom too, because I think we're just told societally, like, don't ever be bored, always be hustling and working towards, you know.
That doesn't create that deeper connection.
Yes.
Right?
Because you're too busy running away from everything and just moving so quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, if you get bored with one person, what do? Do you move on?
Yeah.
And then like, where do you go from there? Because you're going to get bored with them eventually, right?
Yeah.
You're chasing those highs all the time. Like you're never going to settle down.
It's so true. And I feel like when you're chasing those highs too, or when you're in one of those attachment styles that isn't secure, I think I've found myself becoming obsessed with the idea of someone instead of who they actually are.
Yeah.
Because I'm not, again, feeling at peace enough to really get to know them. I'm just like getting bits and pieces of them and then being like, ooh, fun. Making up a story about you in my head.
You're one of those girls that are like, imagine if we like bumped into each other one day, like what that would be like.
Stop. You're calling me out too much.
I've seen memes about this where they're like, you can stop pretending to run into them now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we all do this? Okay.
Yes, 1,000%. And then you know what the craziest thing is, Marian? I feel like once you let go, then not necessarily, metaphorically speaking, potentially, but with the person I had a very anxious attachment with, that I was like, does he like me? Does he like me? Things ended. I was heartbroken. That actually triggered me to go to therapy, which was great. So everything works out.
Yeah.
And then it was like a year and a half later, he's someone I never think about anymore. But when I used to go like downtown Toronto to where I went to school, to where I would hang out with him at the time, I would always be like, oh my God, am I going to run into him? Am I going to run into him? And then I was downtown at a bar and I was finally past the stage. I just like wasn't even thinking about him at all. And then I ran into him. And then we had like, it was a very like civil, fine interaction. And then the next day I kept having this moment of like, Jess, if this happened to you like 2 years ago, you'd be like flipping out and be like, this is insane. And I would like I'd like hyper focus on it for a week. But literally I had that next day where I was like processing it. And then I was like, cool, like you've evolved, girl. Like that's great.
And it doesn't define you.
Yes.
You're like that. Like, again, it's like not like, I have to have this person's attention to feel good. Yeah. It's just like, hey, I'm good already, right? Yeah. If they come, if they go, who cares? I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it feels so nice. It feels so warm.
It's an amazing feeling. It's like, it's amazing to process something and then look back at it and you're like, I didn't even realize how far I've come.
Yes.
Or how bad it was because it's what I knew. But when you're out of it and looking back, it's just like, it's crazy that I allowed myself to get involved in that in a sense.
And I allowed myself to be on that cycle too for so long. And I find it's really hard to break it unless you're talking to someone who will call you out. Like we've been talking for, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes? Yeah, 35 minutes. And you've called me out and I'm like, damn, I like this. You're
But
awesome.
sometimes you need that, right?
Yes.
You need to have the relationship. Like we've talked, so it's like we're comfortable.
Yes.
But yeah, I try not to like call my like clients out first thing because I'm like, I don't want you to be like, my God, my therapist was so mean to me. Like, I'm like, we need to have a relationship where you're comfortable with that.
Yeah. And I think there's also like a gracious way that you're able to do it as a therapist
for sure.
too, is to validate and also acknowledge, you know, patterns or what's been going on.
Yeah.
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 Oh, I'm curious your thoughts on the theory of like people talking about like, oh, you date your parent. Like, you know what I mean? When people say like, oh, you date someone who's like your dad, for me.
I think it's people just gravitate towards what they know. Right? So they're like, if this feels familiar, right? Even if it's not happy, but there's like, well, this is what it is, right? Like, this is what life looks like. I don't know otherwise. So that's what they go for. That's what they know, which is why, again, it's good to have that therapy to understand, like, are you within that like anxious roller coaster where you're like, well, this is what I know. So, and I'm like, okay, well, it's what you know, but can we move you past that to get you somewhere where you're comfortable and it's safe? Yeah. And it could still be like familiar, but it doesn't have to be exactly what you've done. You don't have to recreate kind of what you've created. Right. I heard a really interesting theory. I can't remember where I saw this, but they're like, sometimes people recreate their family dynamics so that they can exert the control that they didn't have over it before. And I was like, ooh. It made me stop and think, and I'm like, is that it? Like, is that what we're doing? I don't know. Like, I feel like I've wrestled with this and wondering, is that what people are doing? Because they're like
taking control of the dynamic.
Yeah. Like, okay, like dad wasn't consistent. So if I date someone who's not consistent, then I can prove to myself that I'm worth like
someone to be consistent or something.
Yeah. Like I can prove that I can take control of this dynamic. Wow. I can prove that I can like work in this in a sense.
Yeah.
And I wonder about that. It's something that I've like sat with, and I'm like, I don't know if I've come to an agreement, but I don't know that I can be like, no.
I'm curious, in your life, what dynamics did you find have played out and how you were able to heal from that in therapy, if you're comfortable sharing?
Oh, yeah. I think, again, like that oldest child of immigrants kind of thing. Yeah, I think that's just like a funny thing about it, especially when you're like the oldest child of first like generation immigrant like family, where they're like, we don't actually know what we brought you into. We just know that like we felt the need to leave because maybe it just wasn't working out where we were at, right? And then they're like, so here's a new environment. And we have other kids we have to worry about as well. And we kind of need you to help us figure it out because we're busy trying to settle in, trying to make the roots, trying to financially provide.
Yeah.
So it becomes like a lot of responsibility on the oldest.
Yeah.
But at the same time, so restricted because they're like, we're just terrified of what's out there because we don't know what's out there.
Yeah.
So you go through this, like, everyone has this period of like intensely struggling with this idea, but also sympathizing because they're like, we get it. You don't know what's out there, but like, how am I supposed to figure out what's out there? I'm a kid trying to figure this out.
And I
Yeah.
find there's just so much fear.
Oh, yeah.
So much fear in the
yeah.
home. And it's like, where do you find, your safe spaces? How do you navigate that experience?
Yeah, the fear part is totally true on
Yeah.
everybody's side, right? Because
Yeah.
they're like, the parents are scared, like this is all new. They're trying to figure it out, trying to set up new roots. The kids are like, well, you're scared, so I guess I'm scared, and I'm trying to figure it out all by myself because you guys haven't set up those roots yet for me to like be provided for and safe and just like able to concentrate on what I gotta do, right? So it's a lot. Yeah, I think like especially in counseling, I've like figured out this journey, and I'm like, oh damn. Like I didn't realize what my parents went through until I was like, I don't realize like how messed up I am.
Is it validating for you as well, though, talking to clients and realizing like, oh, wait, my experience, like there's meaning and there's reasons for it. It's not just like, oh, it was harder, etc.
Yeah, and I think like I've learned to appreciate what the immigrant struggle is because it's just like, I couldn't imagine, like sometimes I think about it, if I were to leave, like let's say even just to like a new province, to realize I'm completely alone, right? All I have is like my partner if I'm lucky, right? When we're going to figure out how to set this up with like no family, no friends, no solid roots yet, trying to get jobs, trying to pay for like survival while we're trying to get these jobs, trying to make a living, trying to get a future set up and ready. Forget about having kids in the mix, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and then there's just that added like, you never quite know. You're like, I left everything I know. Was it the right decision?
Ooh.
Right? And operating out of that rather than being like, you know what, I'm okay. And I think there's been a lot of different factors in that, like doing my own counseling, studying counseling, in my personal life, like pursuing faith more seriously.
Okay.
And then being like, you know what, like it's okay to just kind of hold my peace and see what comes in life. Yeah.
How has your faith influenced that journey for you? Like, what has that changed in the process?
It was like the counseling that validated my faith. It was like learning counseling and learning like, again, attachment theory, how incredibly important a community, like relationships, people are to an individual, and then going to faith and seeing that like heavily exposed. And it was just like, it kind of opened my eyes to like what I'm actually supposed to be believing here.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
So like in the Christian perspective, we say, we are made in the image and likeness of God.
Okay.
And when God says, let us make man, it's a plural. And I was like, whoa. So that's what's happening? Like, that's why we're so attached to community, is because that's what we are created in. So that's like little things like that. So that's kind of like my understanding. Like, that's where I come from it in, and where I'm like, okay, like this person is such a valid person and needing other people that I can't ever be like, why are you being so anxious? It's like, no, they need people, but they were just told people aren't always safe. People aren't always going to stay.
Right.
But that need, right, that basic human need that we can never remove or else we're doing damage, right, is not being fulfilled.
Right.
So it's like, it's like that hunger that's never fully like satisfied.
Whoa.
And it's like, okay, so I can look at this person and now have this worldview that tells me that they are extremely valid as a human being. Doesn't matter if they share my worldview or not.
Yes.
But it's just like, it validates people so much to me that it gave me this whole new understanding for sure.
That makes sense. And I love to hear some of the background of that and where it comes from and how that can help understand more about our lived experience right now. Because I really, really, really agree about community and connection. And like the podcast I started in 2020, it's called Human to Human. Like it's all about how much we need that human connection to survive, to feel okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. 'Cause that human connection is so, again, so important. And I think oftentimes invalidated.
Yes.
Right? Like there's a lot of like, I guess just sayings in our like now like in our worldview in the West where it's like you got to make it on your own.
Yeah.
Right? Like hey, keep pushing through. Like don't let other people hold you down. Like you're not good until you're by yourself. All these things, which some of them can be valid, right? Like there's some aspects of it that can be valid, but I feel like we've become so individualistic that we've lost that touch of like community is incredibly important.
Yeah. And it's what brings us out of dark moments too without even realizing it.
Yeah.
You know, when I don't feel like going to a yoga class or if on Sunday you don't feel like going to church, it's like when you make yourself go and then you are around other people, you're like, oh my God, whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that simple. Yeah. My mood is boosted.
Exactly. Right. It's like, it's having that consistency, which is again, so important for us that we know who we're going to see when like consistently throughout our lives. Yeah. So the crazy thing about like again trauma therapy, like learning through about trauma, learning what it is and all of that, I'm like I came to the realization, although I was already taught like trauma is healed through community. If you think about it, our worst traumas are usually also brought on by others.
Yeah.
It's like it's through relationship and healed through relationship.
Yeah.
So like it's very hard to heal trauma without relationship. That's why people can't just necessarily heal themselves. Right? Like you need to be around other people. You need to have that stability and that consistency and that care, or else like your traumas are there. Right?
And you feel so isolated when you experience a trauma and you can really go inside yourself.
Well, that is the trauma. Because it's not always the event, but if you're isolated after the event or during the event, then that's the trauma. Because people can like snap back from like crazy events if they have that support system. Right?
Whoa. My brain is just opening up. Truly. Just thinking about so much. Even when we were chatting about before, like, wow, it's the isolating aspect that.
And I think that comes out especially when I'm surprised by how many people want to be in person.
Yes,
I'm like, virtual would be so much easier for you, wouldn't it? Like, you're kind of far and they're like, I need in person. And I'm like, fair. I get it. Like, it's hard to set up that, like that sense of comfort and safety with someone you're just seeing like on a screen, right? You don't know their body language. You're not comfortable like with their like vibe, their energy and all of that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that is the perfect segue because you do in-person therapy in Mississauga and Vaughan, right? Yes. Amazing. So your details for all of that will be in the show notes. You have a virtual option as well. Yeah. But if people are seeking in-person therapy, you provide in 2 different areas, which is great.
Yeah. Cool. Both amazing offices.
Yeah, awesome. And so you work with youth, you work with children, you work with adults. So there's a really great range of clients you can support. And is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you feel like would be helpful for people to know if they're listening and thinking about booking a session with you?
Know that when you're coming to me, like I address therapy as like I'm here to basically set up like a human connection with you. A lot of people come to me and they're like, what are the solutions? And I'm like, we'll get to those. But I'm not going to just sit here and like talk at you and have you feeling like you left my office, like you left a professional's office who sees you as just like a chart. Yeah. Because I'm not interested in doing that, right? And even if I take on a new client who's been with a different therapist, I could see the chart. I'm like, I will read your chart, that's fine, but I'd still rather you speak to me and like let me know about your life in the way that you choose to share it with me and the way I choose to like get information about you, because that builds up our understanding of one another, right? And without that human dynamic, I'm not comfortable giving you therapy, like because again, I feel like I'm talking at a chart essentially, and I don't like that idea. And yeah, it's about the process, it's about the journey rather than like the solutions. Yeah. Because the goals will meet themselves if you're willing to like subscribe to the process. Yeah.
My therapist always described it as like little tiny changes. Yeah. You're not going to
baby steps.
Yeah, you're not going to jump from one extreme to the other, and then like we said, when you look back, you can have those moments of like, whoa, wait, something changed. And you do notice it then.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's what I say. I'm like, every session is like one baby step.
Yeah.
Like we get a little bit closer.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for talking with me today, Marian. This was so fun. again, I feel like I literally get to have therapy when I do this and have my own realizations, and I get to go home and like process some of this.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you taking the time.
Well, you're an amazing host. So
thank you so much. I'm so glad. I try my best.
You do amazing.